would open from the inside, and often the handle of the door was a heart. Now, have you ever noticed that the heart is not what a heart looks like? You ever notice that little problem? A heart is obviously a vulva, right? It's obviously a feminine image, right? But they didn't want to call it that, so they made it a heart, right? I mean, that is the secret of the cherubs, right? Hidden in culture in just another way. That's precisely the idea. And it opens from the inside. Rumi, right? You wake up and you realize you've been knocking. You're knocking from the inside, right? That's precisely what we're talking about. So we've got this kind of gorgeous play happening where I begin to realize, right, that actually, right, the erotic is exiled into the sexual, and then within the sexual there's an exile, meaning I can't even access eros in sexuality unless I'm engaged in sexuality, which is boundary breaking. That's the exile within the exile, right? That's what we mean when we say, well, yeah, of course he's an adulterer. Of course he doesn't want the husband to die. He only wants to be with her if she's married. Meaning he's actually accessing boundary breaking. Now, watch for a second. Why? Because if I don't access boundary breaking, right, in a profound way on my path to enlightenment, if I'm stuck in my skin-encapsulated ego, if I don't feel the interconnectivity, if I don't experience the breaking of boundaries in all the ways that are gorgeous, that are what enlightenment's all about, then actually I'm missing something core in my erotic need. I have a core erotic need to break the boundary of what Gregory Bateson called my skin-encapsulated ego. Right? Because I'm incredibly lonely behind Pink Floyd's wall. And I need to break out of that wall. Right? But if I can't break that boundary, if I'm stuck, right, then my core need, right, to be sane, meaning to experience reality, which is to experience reality with all of the invisible lines of connection, to experience myself as part of a larger whole, to break out of the narrow boundary of small self into big mind and big heart. If I can't do that in big mind and big heart, so then I'm going to remain devastated because I'm stuck in my small boundary. So where am I going to seek to break boundaries? Right, in a kind of pseudo-eros way instead of an eros way. Pseudo-eros means breaking of boundaries in a pseudo way. So I'm actually not breaking boundaries, right, in the sacred, gorgeous way of big mind and big heart. Right? And it's stunning. Right? It's absolutely stunning. That's what the Talmud means. The Talmud means if the temple's fallen, meaning you're not accessing big mind and big heart. I mean, you're not living in that enlightened space. You're not letting your emptiness collapse into shunyata. Then that core erotic need will be an exile. That's the exile of the Shekhinah. Where is the Shekhinah exiled, the erotic exile to? To the sexual. But in the sexual, you're going to need to fulfill that need to break out of your narrow boundary. How will you do it with boundary breaking sexuality? Because the key is the boundary breaking. Right? It's the soul yearning to break boundaries, but unable to do it in a profoundly erotic sense. So it does it in a pseudo-erotic sense. All of a sudden, right, the map becomes clear. Right? Sexually twisted cherubs above the ark are holding the secret. The secret is libertines, bless you, but no thank you. Right? Moralists, bless you, but no thank you. Cherubs, sexual models, the erotic. The universe, emptiness is infused with love. And therefore, if sexuality is such a central force, it's because it holds wisdom. It holds wisdom. It holds the possibility, right, of enlightenment.
And it holds, really important though, what it also holds is it holds the fuel of the life force. That spiritual practice without erotic energy, you don't have the rocket fuel that you need on the path.
And let's pick up what Diane said for a second, because this is so important. Then I want to bring it to IQ and then pass it over to you.
The path you need the fuel, you need the life force, the energy. It is the quality that's moving you forward. Dylan Thomas says that through the green fuse is the force that drives the flower and drives my something soul, the soul which is dying. It's the same force. And it's not exiled from the spiritual. It's absolutely central to it and critical in terms of your path.
And what that means is, let me kind of bring it to kind of a sharp focus. I had a running argument with a colleague who's a spiritual teacher who is, into what he calls impersonal enlightenment. And he has something called the Impersonal Enlightenment Fellowship, and he's a lovely guy. And his kind of basic point is...
What time is it?
We got like 4 minutes to make dinner.
Oh, really do?
Yeah.
And so
I reserved 19 places.
Oh, so I think what we need to do is to say that we shouldn't tell the story. And let's hold right here, and let's end with our last minute with just a reading. Here we go, and then we'll actually, and what we'll do is maybe we will either this evening. The question is like this: Should we meet this evening, right? And kind of hang out and do some, incarnated exercises and chat, or should we kind of take the evening, let people take the evening off, just kind of like, assimilate, and then come back tomorrow morning, kind of fresh, and kind of open with a discussion on this and go to the next step.
Hold on.
Yeah?
Your description, put this down for a second.
Yeah.
Your description of this evening, no. No. No, I wouldn't come to that.
Clearly, I was moving in a particular direction. But you weren't helpful. but thanks.
Yeah. No, the question is, should we come and actually finish dinner and come back and do some just kind of work in the second person, energetic, masculine, feminine, working with the energy of Eros in terms of spiritual practice, or shall we?
Or shall we do that same thing? And the big question is, we're fine. The question is, how do you guys feel? We've had a long day.
Yeah, we're just downloading so much that I'm a little worried that you're going to be tired and overwhelmed.
You might want to
really
kind of have the evening off and just come in tomorrow. I'm not sure. I was actually kind of thinking that you might want the evening off. That was kind of my intuition, which is why I tried to prevent this evening in the least appealing possible way. Right? Unfortunately, my partner kind of came in. Kind of annoying.
Well, the way you said it, should we just come back and kind of do something really meaningless instead?
It's so 60s, I love it.
Yeah, so just a quick straw poll.
Show hands,
Actually,
show hands.
how many of you feel like you actually need some time to digest and you'd like to go to dinner, have a little wine, ask a few integral questions, reflect, and then kind of wander home?
And then meet tomorrow at 9:30.
Okay, and how many of you feel like you'd like to come back and actually do some energetic meditative practice? Okay.
I'll tell you after dinner, I don't know.
Okay, all right, fair enough. So let's do that. Let's do that. And so what that means is that he'll read the poem, and then we'll make our way to the restaurant, and we'll call him and tell him we're on our way.
We're totally late. I
Yeah,
don't know how we're
we'll-
going to.
Let's skip the poem.
Okay.
Let's skip the poem.
Yeah, I don't
And
think
tell
so.
him
I can't
we're on our way.
believe this is not my usual role.
People being
They're
like,
quite
yeah.
That's great.
Here's the good news. Did time go fast this afternoon? It's 5:30. That means we were in error.
So if they have a lot of people
Okay,
there this
so-
weekend, so they have two
Yeah,
seats.
so we're gonna go eat and enjoy ourselves and see what's
Did
going
you
on.
call him and tell him that we're on our
Tell me
way?
we're on our way.
Somebody else call it.
Okay.
Where are we going?
Where is our way?
Red River Lodge.
Where choose
What
where?
does that mean?
It's just about a mile down.